The Board of Visitors had its September Board of Visitors meeting Thursday and Friday, and okay. It was the first meeting of the 13-4 majority of Youngkin appointees on the board. And if one was expecting any kind of fireworks or anything to happen, or suddenly kind of a newly aggressive Board of Visitors kind of pushing their point of view on conservative causes, one would have been very disappointed. There was absolutely nothing at all. It was just totally business as usual. There might have been some activity behind the scenes in closed session. There's this group of Charlottesville physicians and faculty members who are complaining about the leadership of the medical school and the health system, and wanting them to those two individuals to step down. But they've issued these very vague kind of epistles about all the awful things that are going on, but nobody's signing their name. But they've created enough of a ruckus that there was some buzz that maybe there are issues that were going to be discussed. But if they were, it was all behind closed session. Everything that is remotely controversial gets shoved into closed session. It always has something to do with personnel or something. So they have an excuse to take it out of the public eye. So we really don't know. But it was, I think, if there was no overt moves by anybody to, like, let's change the leadership of the board itself. Nothing. So it's just kind of business as usual at UEA.
What would you include on a list of 3 things that probably should be addressed with this, new board makeup that finally reflects, hypothetically, some conservative thought or some more traditional thought than I would suppose the semi-radicals that previous governors put on there? What would be on that list, do you think?
Well, I think at the top of the list, and this is something that should have a broad constituency behind it, not just conservative, is getting serious about tackling the administrative bloat and mission creep, and that leads to constantly increasing costs and constantly rising tuition. Now, UVA, their argument is, we've done a great job. Our tuition increases have been less than the inflation rate over the last 4 years. Well, all right, well, what was the inflation rate over the last 4 years? Not real great. And also, that came at a time when the state was significantly increasing its support for higher education and shoveling a lot more dollars into UVA with the idea that we increase our funding for in-state undergraduate tuition, and you hold the rates down. So they're bragging about something for which, as far as I'm concerned, they deserve no credit. So there was some hope that maybe there were people on the board who were say, okay, it's fine. Let's tackle this business about all the bloated costs, and let's kind of just issue a dictum and say, look, we don't want to micromanage UVA. That's not our job as a board, but we're going to tell you, cut spending by $100 million out of your $2.4 billion budget. So maybe cut by 4 or 5%. Well, if you did that, you could cut tuition by like about 20%. And another thing that we found out, we wrote a white paper, is like 22% of everybody's tuition payment. You send your kid to UVA, 22% of what you're paying is paying for financial aid to help some other kid go there. So the link
don't
is,
they
like,
have a big endowment there? What? Right?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes,
what do they use that for?
Well, they're using that too. I mean, they are. They have actually been very good at raising money for scholarships, and but the cost structure is going up so much that, and the tuition is going up so much that the scholarship money, privately endowed scholarship money, doesn't begin to cover all the costs. They continue to want to really expand the number of first-time students, which is another way of basically saying lower-income students, most of whom need financial aid. And so they're on kind of this slippery slope in which every time you increase your tuition, say, by $1,000, 22% of that has to get funneled back into paying financial aid to the kids who obviously can't afford it, that increase. But every time you do that, that 22%, that increases your financial aid commitment by $200+.
Right.
So the spending just kind of ratchets up, and it's kind of a vicious cycle. And no one's dealing with it. In fact, no one's even conceptualizing it like that. And so UVA, of course, is the administration is perfectly happy going on the course it's going. They like it. One of their major goal is to continue expanding the number of lower income students, and hopefully they're not sacrificing standards.
And they just want to keep spending. And I'll tell you, Jim, I got to run, but I'll tell you, whether it's this story that would have been one of our top stories today, Michael Rao, the president of VCU, getting a 16% pay increase and a contract extension, even after losing $100 million of taxpayer money. I don't know what it takes to get fired at VCU. Presumably a DUI where you run down 10 people in the street might get you fired. I don't know. But mismanaging the money, which is what you're hired for, that doesn't get you fired. There's a problem with higher education in Virginia, and somebody better get a hold of it. And I'll tell you, it's I'm a big Governor Youngkin fan. I want to be supportive of the governor. I hope that he is aware that a lot of these people are just sitting tight, watching the clock tick, so that they can get rid of him and then just carry on. And I hope that he'll, behind the scenes, because he's a very nice person, I hope he will let him know that that's not going to work for him. I pray to God. Yeah. So, Jim Bacon, baconsrebellion.com. I appreciate it.
All right, John. Take care.
Thank you, sir. All right, it's 8:49. We're back with more in a moment on News Radio WRVA.